Good morning at 6:03. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. No, Miss Erin is away this week. Matt Parker here with local news in just a couple of seconds. Let's see. Legislature back in session today. I know you're going to be stunned to hear this. Crime in Shreveport. He'll update us there. Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up. Oh, yes. Matt did have the most interesting weekend. I will explain. Where was I? Fletcher, sports, traffic, and weather. It's all here this hour, and it's coming up on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The regular session begins today, less than a week after the special session crashed and burned. Fiscal cliff negotiations will be put on hold while a slew of other issues take center stage. There are several gun control bills filed, but Council for a Better Louisiana President Barry Irwin doesn't see any of the measures to restrict who can purchase an assault-style rifle passing.
You know, despite the school shooting in Florida, it's really hard to see any legislation to limit gun, control or gun ownership in any way. This is a huge, strong Second Amendment state.
6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. A child has died and a man is behind bars in East Texas. But Nerl Lewis has been arrested for capital murder after a child in his care died. Wake Village police believe that Lewis caused the young boy's injuries. Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when severe storms rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. An NYPD spokesman says all 5 passengers aboard a helicopter that crashed into New York City's East River are dead. The spokesman confirmed the deaths to the Associated Press early Monday morning. Officials say the pilot was able to escape without serious injury. With the onset of spring comes seasonal allergies, and this year could be a very long season. For those who suffer from hay fever, it spells many weeks of sniffing, sneezing, watery eyes, and post-nasal drainage. Physician Dr. Peter Boggs says the allergy season started early due to record-breaking warmth in February, and there's still a lot of pollen to go around.
We'll transit into trees and grasses, and then we'll end up the season into late May and June is just grass pollen predominantly.
Spring football is underway at LSU, and so is the competition to be the Tigers' next starting quarterback. Head coach Ed Orgeron says soon-to-be junior Justin McMillan made a good first impression on Sunday, the first practice of the spring.
I thought Justin had a tremendous day. So did Noel, and it looks like it doesn't bother them if they're with the first or second or third team. They're all getting equal reps. They're all competing, and there's no first-team quarterback right now, so it gives them, they all have hope. And I like to see. I like what I saw today out of Justin McMillan. He had a good day.
The LSU coaching staff is also looking for a new star running back to emerge before the season starts. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
9 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM at 710. KEEL traffic update for GAC Monday morning. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still looking pretty clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
You know, first of all, Ruben needs a last name. I mean, his real last name is Wright, the same as mine. No relation.
See,
But
I
it's just,
like that.
It's confusing. No, it makes it, people think there's this nepotism thing going on, like I got my nephew or cousin.
Ruben, no relation, right? I like it. It's got a ring to it.
No, Ruben, he needs a radio name. And so I'm thinking, and he never says his own name. So it could be, I was thinking Ruben Riley, which is kind of like Wright. Or perhaps a little more edgy.
Carrillo?
Carrillo would be good. Shabazz. Ruben Shabazz.
I like it.
I think is the way to go. I'll try that out, see how the response is. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Miss Erin is away today. She is off somewhere, and that means your workload is quadrupled.
Yeah, see, not to get too behind the scenes, but the way Erin writes news is she gets up at 11 or midnight, stays up till 3 a.m.
He's not making this up. Erin's sleep patterns are so bizarre. And as part of her diet/life change that Maggio put her on a couple of months ago, shoot, it's longer than that now, 6 months or so ago, was he said, you got to try to sleep straight through. And although she clings to that story, I don't think she really does.
Oh, no, I get the emails. She doesn't.
So she goes to bed about 7 or 8, sleeps until midnight, works for 2 or 3 hours, goes back to bed until about 5, and then comes in and wraps up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And whatever she doesn't get accomplished in that 3 or 4 hours, she's awake from midnight to 3 or whatever, she just pawns off on me. I got nobody to pawn my stuff off on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I just wonder if Megyn Kelly, or I'm trying to think of somebody else who's on one of the early morning shows. I can't think of anybody. If Gayle King writes her news, well, Gayle King doesn't write her own news. If anybody on any early morning show writes their own news on their phone at midnight. Matt had a very interesting weekend.
Did I?
mentioned that. Yes, you did. You just don't know it yet. I mentioned that because do you ever look at your eBay history? Do you ever look at your feedback? The first thing I bought on eBay, the very first thing, was I bought it from a guy in 2000, a watch from a guy in Oregon in 2002. And I'm thinking, man, 16 years ago, what the hell? So Matt this weekend sent a guy an offer on a watch.
I did.
And we shan't get into the brand. It's a really beautiful watch. It's an awesome
and
watch.
I really wanted to buy it.
And basically, and this has never happened to me in 16 years of buying stuff on eBay. The guy had a price or best offer. And so Matt sends the guy a personal message via eBay, and the guy texted back basically 2 words, and not basically, this was a quote, "Up yours."
Yeah, the price is the price. Pay it or don't.
Up yours. You can't give a guy bad feedback for saying up yours. You haven't bought anything from him yet. So
you know what? I did one better, though. I bought a different watch, so up yours, pal.
Up yours. I've never, ever, ever. Now, yesterday, do I seem perky? Do I seem upbeat? Do I seem fatigued and or worn down? No, I do not. Despite the fact that once again yesterday, I took part in the Loyola College Prep alumni basketball game.
Did you get more than 2 points this time?
No, I got 2 points. And I shot 1 for 3. And now this is, okay, here's what happened yesterday, and it's none too flattering. Understand, I go into this game. Basically, my theory is, I don't know if you ever took a physics class in high school or college, but there's basically this thing called the phantom proton. And normally, I guess all sort of protons are drawn to the nucleus of a cell. Or however that works. I don't remember because it's been a long time. Sort of like me in basketball. Well, basically, there's this thing called the phantom proton, which never, ever, ever approaches the nucleus of the cell. It just sort of stays around the outer edge. I am the phantom proton of basketball. I run up and down. When I'm in the game, I just run up and down the sideline. If the ball sort of comes to me, I catch it, I freeze, and I get rid of it as soon as I can. At one point, at some point in the game, I make a basket. Now, since I am far and away the oldest participant in this contest, in some I mean, there's guys in this game that are like 19 and 20 years old. I'm 45 years older than these guys. So at some point during this game, and yesterday was another a stellar moment of mine, have you ever seen the YouTube videos where the special needs kid,
oh God,
where sort of the players part like the Red Sea and they let him score,
or you know, like the 90-year-old guy who they just kind of let score a touchdown at a college game last year?
Basically, that's it. And so it's hooray, and I'm like Ralphie being carried off on the shoulders after he's, remember in Christmas Story where he's like celebrating his own amazingness. So I made my basket, and I was pretty happy. And then the game ended in a tie. And then they played a 1-minute overtime, and the game was still tied. Now, the 2 oldest guys in this game are me, class of 1970, and a fella I've known for a million years named Tim Mitchell, class of 72. So the way they decide, now Tim and I, we go into this game with, his theory is the same as mine. Play as little as you can, don't blow a hip. Okay?
Good strategy to have.
Little as you can. Don't. In fact, this year was the first co-ed year. They invited for this year, and for whatever reason they waited this long, I don't know, all the old Loyola College Prep women's team. They've won 2 state championships since the turn of the... I mean, there's sort of a dynasty. And I was totally for this because with more players...
Less time.
It means I play less.
You know what the best part of this to me is?
What?
You've actually trained for weeks playing basketball in a driveway
with my 12-year-old nephew.
With your 12-year-old nephew to literally do nothing.
Yeah. No,
you're like the anti-Rocky.
I thought that playing in the driveway with my nephew Nicholas would help more than it did. It did not. I can run with the kids as long as it's on a straight line. And but anything that involves like ball handling, dribbling, shooting, jumping is totally beyond my skill level.
So anything involving basketball skills you don't have. Got it.
If you're going to push it, sure. So the game ends in a tie. Then the overtime ends in a tie. And do you know how they decided to break the overtime tie?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Tim Mitchell and I were designated to have a best of 5 free throw shooting like a hockey shootout.
Oh, God.
Now, my friends who know me well will tell you, I was just looking at the clock. My friends who know me will tell you this. if you want to win money from me, bet me on something sports related. Because if there's things, there are pressures we can all handle, and there are pressures that we cannot. And one of the things that I cannot handle is any pressure that is sports related. I mean, I fold like a Kleenex. So we each are going to shoot 5 free throws alternating. And I'm thinking, well, if he misses the first one and I make mine, maybe I got a chance. So he makes his first one. And I clank mine. And he makes his second one. And I clank mine. Now, it's over. In my mind, it's all over.
All hope is gone.
Oh, my gosh. And he makes his third one, so now I've got to make this. I don't even think I hit the rim. And so that was, we basically, and none of the guys on my team said this, but I could see it in their eyes. Old man, we lost because of you.
Time to get better glasses.
That wouldn't help. But it was, as always, an awesome day, and it's one of my favorite days of the year. And you know, I love doing that. And I work out extra.
I love that you worked hard, trained to suck. Just imagine how bad you'd be if you weren't in the driveway.
It wouldn't have mattered. 19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. Here's Ruben.
I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
FM. Clank. God, it was so embarrassing. And I knew I was screwed from the moment they handed me the ball. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Calvary alum Sam Burns continues to cash checks on the PGA Tour with a 12th place finish in the Valspar Championship Sunday worth over $130,000. Burns had a top 5 finish in his sights but carded a triple bogey 7 on the 16th and bogeyed the 18th to finish 4 under for the event. Paul Casey won with a score of 10 under. Tiger Woods continues his strong comeback with a runner-up finish. The NCAA tournament basketball field of 68 teams was unveiled Sunday afternoon, and nobody from Louisiana will be participating, but Virginia, Xavier, Villanova, and Kansas are the number 1 seeds. The SEC has 8 teams in the tournament. Arkansas is the 7 seed in the East, and they'll play Butler Friday afternoon. Texas A&M is also a 7 seed. They'll play Providence early Friday in a West Regional game. Texas makes the field as a 10 seed, and they'll play also on Friday afternoon. LSU is part of the 32-team NIT field. They will play UL Lafayette Wednesday at 6 at the PMAC. College baseball, LSU takes care of business against Hawaii, 14-1, 17 hits to win the series. Louisiana Tech sweeps Houston Baptist 9-3, and Northwestern State rides David Fry's hot day. He had a 2-run double in the 7th and a solo homer in the 9th. They take care of business with a series win over Nichols with a 5-3 victory Sunday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Twenty-five past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Miss Erin is away for the week. She'll be back next Monday. Mm-hmm. She's on vacation. I don't know where. Secret stuff. She says, I'm not talking. I said, you leave your computer on. We can see everything you're going to do. She says, I'm trying to trick you.
Well, she's trying to buy vacation spots because she's still convinced she's going to win the Powerball. So who knows where she?
Yeah.
She could be in Mexico, Tahiti, or Shreveport.
I think eventually what's going to happen is that she is, and if you're a regular listener to the show, remember the morning she started to cry. Mm-hmm. It was what was it, like the $25 billion lottery?
It was the largest lottery ever.
It wasn't that $1 billion, close to $1 billion, but it was like $500 million.
It was large.
And she came in the morning, and she had seen that the lottery, where was it? Down around Eunice or Houma?
It was Eunice, I believe, but they hadn't announced it.
No, they just had announced that the winner was from Louisiana. And she had convinced herself that it was her.
She did.
And then when she found out that it wasn't, I mean, she literally, well, the video is somewhere on.
Yeah, she's shaking and crying.
Or she was, yeah. The video is somewhere on the website. Where she literally breaks down. I can't believe I didn't win.
Most viewed video in KEEL history.
At some point, when the jackpot gets really high again, she is going to, even before the drawing, she will convince herself to the degree that she will convince herself she's going to win to the degree that she will buy a $250,000 high-rise condominium somewhere in Florida and then have to sell it back.
I was about to say, how long until she goes nuts like I do and just, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this, and then you buy something stupid expensive and then regret it for the rest of your life?
Nah, she's going to do that. Guest list for the week in Erin's absence. Of course, we tried to get Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple, one of the greatest guests of all time.
Love Bishop Larry.
Bishop Larry is unavailable this week, and no, he's in Los Angeles this week. And then
home, huh?
Then he is in Tulsa. No, he's from Oakland, but he's in Los Angeles for something, and then he's in Tulsa at a week-long seminar next week. I wonder what they do at his church at Praise Temple if he's gone. And I was thinking about this morning. If Bishop Larry isn't there, I'm sure there's an assistant pastor or assistant bishop or something. Or do they do like in Stripes, where Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, and they train themselves?
So someone just steps up.
They just
Praise be.
Yes, exactly. Somebody steps up, fills the gap, takes over.
You and I need to get fancy suits and head on down there.
We can't get those suits. They don't sell those suits to guys like us. All I can see, I'm blanking again because all I can think of is Stuart Little. Who am I thinking of? Scott Hughes.
You mean we're not going to have a talking mouse and a miniature car come in? Damn it!
Scott Hughes, political analyst, will be here one day this week. I still need to track him down. If you know Scott, and he's pretty awesome, don't tell him I said Stuart Little. It's not his fault because he does not in any way resemble Stuart Little, the fictitious mouse. What happens is I'm at that point in my life. And you get old, and it's called memory blocking, where you get the wrong thing in your head. I've told you a million times.
That poor artistic child.
That's acoustic. I couldn't think of the term
Autistic.
autistic, and all I could think of was acoustic and or altruistic. And what happens is, it happens all the time. If you get like 55 or 60, it's called memory blocking. And it's basically, you can't think of the right word because all you can think of is the wrong word, and your brain panics. And you're like we went out to dinner a couple of weeks. I couldn't think of the word salsa. All I could think of was salmonella. And you don't want to ask the waitress at the Mexican restaurant for extra salmonella because that just sounds bad. So when I try to think of Scott Hughes' name, it's not anything that Scott did or the way Scott looks. I just look at him and the memory blocking. The first thing that pops into my head is Stuart Little, and we can never repeat this, nor can you. 629, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. I think I have an answer for the problems that plague college sports. Once again this weekend, my friends and people who are not really my friends treat me terribly for my stance on the possibility that Louisiana may, in fact, legalize sports gambling. And Matt's going to update us on everything that happened in Shreveport and surrounding area. That is coming up next with local news. 101.7 FM. Ow, just hit my knee. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still looking pretty clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. The regular session kicks off today, and Governor John Bell Edwards is hoping the legislature gets more accomplished than the special session that ended without a clear solution to the fiscal cliff. Legislators are not allowed to address revenue issues in the regular session, so the fiscal cliff will have to wait for another special session to be called afterwards. Despite the tension, Edwards says he's optimistic that the legislature will put aside their differences and come together for a productive regular session.
I actually believe we will get it done. I'm reminded of how hard it was 2 years ago, and so I'm heartened that we can get this done. I ask you to join me in that effort and join your prayers to mine.
Some of the issues on the docket include legislation addressing teacher tenure and abuse of infirmed individuals. With the onset of spring comes seasonal allergies, and this year could be a very long season. For those who suffer from hay fever, it spells many weeks of sniffing, sneezing, watery eyes, and postnatal drainage. There are differences between colds and allergies. Physician Dr. Peter Boggs says if you're wondering if it's a cold or if it's allergies, there's an easy way to find out.
The allergy symptoms tend to persist, and they respond nicely to medications for allergies, whereas the colds, they're kind of hard to treat.
Thanks to a warm, wet February, Boggs says the allergy season will be longer than normal this year. Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when a severe storm rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. Police in Louisiana say several rounds were fired at officers and a man has been arrested. A Gonzales police Facebook post says 26-year-old Erin Moser was charged with several offenses, including attempted first-degree homicide. Gun control advocates are panning a new Trump administration plan to prevent school shootings. The plan would back off President Donald Trump's support for increasing the minimum age for buying assault-style weapons and it said would establish a federal commission to examine the issue. The Brady campaign to prevent gun violence says, quote, Americans expecting real leadership to prevent gun violence will be disappointed and troubled by President Trump's dangerous retreat from his promise. Spring football is underway at LSU. The LSU coaching staff is looking for a featured running back to emerge in the spring. Head coach Ed Orgeron says since there's no Leonard Fournette or Darius Geis on the roster, they will be an offense that depends more on its passing game.
It's going to force us to throw the football. It's going to force us to be more creative on offense. Maybe give them the ball out the backfield. Guys can catch out the backfield. Until we find a feature back, the offense will not be featured, obviously, by our running back. We can throw the football, and I think we better do that a lot better.
There's also a battle expected for several key defensive positions leading up to the start of the season. For 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
One of us went long. It must have been the news guy.
Whoops.
Yeah,
My
it could
bad.
happen. Well, there's lots to talk about.
There is.
Okay, so where is this massage parlor on Fairfield? Not that I'm looking for an address.
There was two of them that got busted. Hold on, let me pull up the story again.
So Southfield, it was west. It was not west. 59th Street or 5900 block of Fairfield.
Where is it? Yeah, it was 5900 block of Fairfield. Apparently, it was like within a couple of blocks of the school.
Which would be, I assume, Fairfield Elementary.
I would assume.
I would hate to think the only reason we shut down massage parlors in Shreveport is because of their proximities to schools.
Well, there was another one that got busted on Jewella. If you remember, Erin a couple of months ago did the story about Backpage, and she was scanning it like, oh, someone needs to look into all these prostitution things and everything. And all of a sudden, they've been popping massage parlors left and right. So.
Yeah. That's what she's doing on vacation. She's leading the task force. 639, 1017 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. Here's Ruben Shabazz.
I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Okay, this is Nathaniel Rateliff. Are you familiar with Nathaniel Rateliff at all?
I am. I like him.
What's the band? The Golden Swingers? See, I'm doing it. This memory blocking thing, it sort of allows you as you get older to be like really funny, but you're not meaning to be really funny.
One of the benefits of getting old. It's Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
What did I say? Golden Swingers? Oh, God. 642, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. I was listening to the Quirby spot that I, of course, did, and I was looking at the weather for this week, and there may, in fact, be golf on the horizon.
What? Are we going to have dry weather for a change?
Like Wednesday or I think Thursday supposed to be about 72 degrees. Yes, chance of rain today, but sunny tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday and maybe even Friday.
What?
I mention that because we were just talking golf a second ago, and Matt was like, I was so upset that Tiger didn't win yesterday, Tiger Woods. He finished one shot back of Paul Casey at the See, I'm doing it again. It's Valspar, but my first thought was Valderrama, and because it was Wilmer Valderrama who was on the 70s show. And which, believe me, this is going to be, if I continue to verbalize my first thought all day, we'll never get anything done. So it was the Valspar tournament in Tampa Bay area. And Tiger was one shot back starting the fourth round, and he finished one back of Paul Casey. And the crowds were, I guess, unbelievable, like 30 people deep at some point.
People are pumped that Tiger's back, man.
And playing well. He did not play exceedingly well yesterday, but someday he's figuring it out, and he's getting better every time he goes out. Now, Sam Burns, Shreveport guy, Sam Burns, another pretty good day yesterday. He had a triple bogey 7 on par 4. I think it's the 16th hole, and he finished the day, I think, +2 but -4 for the week. Now, the good news is there that he won a good chunk of money, probably about 130, 140 grand. But he finished 12th overall in the tournament yesterday. Now, that's important because if you are not a player of status, i.e., if you are not qualified for the PGA Tour, and Sam at this point is not, He's qualified on the web.com tour. And what happens is if you get an exemption. See, the reason he was in Valspar was because a week ago he finished in the top 10. So he's automatically into 2 weeks ago. So he's automatically into the next full field event, which was this week, Valspar in Tampa. He finished 12th. If he had finished 10th, he would have qualified for the Honda tournament next week in Orlando. But he already has a sponsor's exemption for the tournament next week in Orlando, so he will be playing there. And with continued results, if he gets enough like FedEx Cup points, no need to get into all of that, but if he gets enough FedEx Cup points and or money, he will earn his promotion to the Big Boy Tour. Kid can play, man.
He's been doing well all year so far.
And I said this, if he's 21, I think. And at some point, now Sam was the best junior golfer in America. I think he was the top-ranked junior golfer in the USA. He was the top college golfer in America last year. So at some point, your confidence, you think you're pretty good. But at some point at the age of 21, when you go out to play in a PGA event, you got to say, this is it. This is big boy stuff. Do I really belong here? And he has proven with his performance a couple of weeks ago when he outplayed Tiger Woods that he does. So whatever, if any, look, I know Sam kinda from when we were both at Eastridge when he was kind of a kid, but it's not like I ever gave the guy tips. You know what I mean? So I'm only speculating here. But at some point, part of your growth, part of your maturity your maturation as a golfer is that you got to believe that you belong in the room. And when you go out and you play with Tiger Woods, I mean, Brandt Snedeker was one shot off the lead yesterday, just like Tiger was. And playing with Tiger, he shot like a 76 or a 77. I mean, it's a different world. Rory McIlroy has said, you play with Tiger, it costs you 2 shots.
It's a lot of pressure.
Just because of the field, because of the crowd, because of the distractions, because of the hullabaloo. And Sam went out a couple of weeks ago playing with Tiger. Tiger shot even par. Sam shot -2. And that's what got him into the tournament yesterday, this past weekend in Tampa. And so he will be on the PGA Tour again next weekend, or this weekend rather, in Orlando in the Honda Classic. A tournament, by the way, Tiger will be playing again, and I think he's won that 8. I'm serious now. Tiger's won that tournament 8 or 9 times. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL special session. Well, no, it's regular session for the legislature, but John Bell wants them to shut down the regular session and immediately go back into special session and raise taxes. Talk more about that just after 7 o'clock. Right now, 6:49. What do you think, commercials or traffic and weather?
Traffic.
Traffic and weather update. Here's Reuben Riley.
I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Our KEEL Poll of the Week. Find it online at KEELnews.com. KEELnews.com.
.652 KEEL Sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Calvary alum Sam Burns continues to cash checks on the PGA Tour with a 12th place finish in the Valspar Championship Sunday worth over $130,000. Burns had a top 5 finish in his sights but carded a triple bogey 7 on the 16th and bogeyed the 18th to finish 4 under for the event. Paul Casey won with a score of 10 under. Tiger Woods continues his strong comeback with a runner-up finish. The NCAA tournament basketball field of 68 teams was unveiled Sunday afternoon, and nobody from Louisiana will be participating, but Virginia, Xavier, Villanova, and Kansas are the number 1 seeds. The SEC has 8 teams in the tournament. Arkansas is the 7 seed in the East, and they'll play Butler Friday afternoon. Texas A&M is also a 7 seed. They'll play Providence early Friday in a West Regional game. Texas makes the field as a 10 seed, and they'll play also on Friday afternoon. LSU is part of the 32-team NIT field. They will play UL Lafayette Wednesday at 6 at the PMAC. College baseball, LSU takes care of business against Hawaii, 14-1, 17 hits to win the series. Louisiana Tech sweeps Houston Baptist 9-3, and Northwestern State rides David Fry's hot day. He had a 2-run double in the 7th and a solo homer in the 9th. They take care of business with a series win over Nichols with a 5-3 victory Sunday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
6:55, Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, the KEEL app, a free download from Office Furniture Source. Later this week, Erin's off this week, so Roy Lang from the Times will be here one day this week to talk about a myriad of topics, or myriad topics. One of them will be college basketball, rather. College football, though, Coach O is like, we ain't got nobody. We're horrible. We got no quarterback. We got no offensive line. I can't talk like him, but you get
We got some people to impress. Well, we're still looking for a future back.
And then Erin will sit here and talk about how we have the best players in America, and if we lose to Alabama, it's only because of bad coaching.
Yeah.
We got nobody. We've got everybody, she says. What I started to say was the NCAA basketball tournament, the top 60, actually 65, because there's a play-in game, starts this week. And I'm just going to say this, and maybe we'll talk about it more after 7 o'clock. And I know this is calumny to many people, but to me, college basketball may be the most boring sport there is. We'll stop right there. 6:56, here's Rush on KEEL.
A couple of weeks ago, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Calypso Louis, spoke at a Nation of Islam event on his favorite topic, the Jews. He told his audience that powerful Jews are his enemy. He said the Jews are responsible for all the filth and degenerate behavior that Hollywood's putting out, turning men into women and women into men. So in addition to disliking Jews, Farrakhan doesn't look kindly on transgenders either. And then he issued a warning. Farrakhan has pulled the cover off the eyes of the satanic Jew, and I'm here to say, your time is up, Farrakhan said. Your world is through. You good Jews had better separate, because the satanic ones will take you to hell with them, because that's where they're headed. Now, if you're familiar with the career of Calypso Louis, none of this is surprising. It's nothing you haven't heard before from him. What's also no surprise is how little coverage these remarks got in the drive-by media. Tamika Mallory, co-founder Women's March Organization, attended the event and later went on social media to praise Farrakhan as the greatest of all time, a feminazi, babe. Quite a few elected Democrats, including many congressional black Caucasians, have long-standing ties to Farrakhan. They will not condemn anything he says. Nothing new there either. But they're liberals, which means they'll never get called out on this. But you have a meeting with David Duke and see what happens to you. Today's technology makes things easier because everything's connected. Your cell phone, your tablet, even your smart TV, all connected to one account, and they're all connected to your Wi-Fi. It only takes just one weak link for a cyber thug criminal to break in and obtain your data. And that's why the new LifeLock identity theft protection now adds the power of Norton security to your devices. Now, while LifeLock uses proprietary technology to detect threats to your identity, the addition of Norton security helps protect up to 5 of your devices from online threats. And if there's a problem, LifeLock's agents will work to fix it. Now, of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions in all businesses. But new LifeLock with Norton gives you more protection for today's connected world. Join now, get 10% off your first year. Go online to lifelock.com and enter the promo code RUSH. That's lifelock.com. Remember, promo code RUSH.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
KeelAccuWeather.com forecast, kind of cloudy, small chance of rain today, not as warm as yesterday, maybe low 60s. Right now it is 43 at KEEL.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
7:03. Robert J. Fragile Psyche Wright, Erin McCarty. Erin's off this week on vacation. Mr. Parker, Matt has local news in just a couple of seconds. Massage parlor somewhere between Southfield and 70th going south. It's like 5,900 blockers. Not that it's still open, guys, so just I don't mean to change your plans for the day.
Well, they may be reopened now.
Said college basketball is, I know this sounds like sacrilege, it's the most boring game of all. And there are, in fact, some boring games. We will talk about that a little bit, plus special session. Wait, it's the regular session, not if John Bell gets his way. The governor is going to try again to take more of your cash. Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. An NYPD police spokesman says all 5 passengers aboard a helicopter that crashed into New York City's East River are dead. The spokesman confirmed the deaths to the Associated Press early Monday morning. Officials say the pilot was able to escape without serious injury. 6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. The regular session kicks off today. Governor John Bell Edwards released his legislative agenda aimed at improving the well-being of children and seniors. One of the bills included is West Monroe Representative Frank Hoffman's proposal to reduce the requirements necessary for public teachers to obtain tenure. Hoffman says the current requirements are unfair to educators.
We made it so difficult to become tenured, and it still, my bill won't make it a piece of cake. If we're going to have tenure, it ought to at least be a fair thing for the teachers.
Currently, teachers must be rated highly efficient for 5 to 6 years to qualify. The bill would lower the requirements to effective proficient. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when severe storms rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. Police in Gonzales say several rounds were fired at officers and a man has been arrested. A Gonzales police Facebook post says 26-year-old Erin Moser was charged with several offenses, including attempted first-degree homicide. Spring football is underway at LSU. LSU enters the spring thin at cornerback with only 5 scholarship cornerbacks on the roster. Greedy Williams will start at 1 cornerback spot, and head coach Ed Orgeron says they have candidates to start at the other spot. Orgeron also says there's a potential they can add to this position with a graduate transfer.
Josh Ray Kirkland, Kerry Vincent, those guys, we tried Manny Natalie there. We'll have to see. We have a graduate transfer in mind, and we feel that we have our top candidate, and more than likely we're going to sign one. We just have to get them on an official visit, get to meet them, get to know them and stuff, and compete. You know, obviously those guys have some chances to go to places.
Orgeron says the coaching staff is still searching for a starting quarterback and running back. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
9 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update for Monday morning. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive and Southfield Road. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty. Keel app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Erin on vacation this week. Which sacrilege, which calumny, which offensive statement do we want to talk? What do we want to talk about first? Do you want to talk? Because I said at the end of last hour, we'll put this off till later, just because there's so much on the special session and stuff we need to talk about. Well, wait a second, Robert. You say they go back to regular session today. Yes, but, and we'll get to that. Do you agree or disagree with me that when I said college basketball to me is the most boring game there is?
Oh, basketball in general is just boring these days. It is. College is.
So
worse
are you that
than
guy
the pros.
who yearns for like Larry Bird, Kevin McHale? Let's level Kurt Rambis, the Bill Lambier days.
Yes, because
where
at least there was some action.
Where it was practically a hockey game.
Because nowadays, here's basically basketball in a nutshell: run down court, throw up a three. Most of the time they miss. Someone gets a rebound. They go back down the other end of the court, throw up another three. It gets missed. There's 4 or 5 travels during that up and down. It's just,
and
it drives me nuts.
At the pro level, it's becoming team handball. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, so the regular session resumes today. The regular legislative session resumes today. The thing is, John Bell and Jay Darden and all those guys, is that they want what the governor wants the legislators to do is today or tomorrow to adjourn the regular session to immediately go back into special session, i.e. the tax-raising session. Now, didn't it cost us more than $1 million for the last legislative special session that ended on, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? Yes, but otherwise they wouldn't have been there. The difference is this time, I don't want to give John Bell credit because otherwise the criticism would have been too great. They'll already be there for the regular session, so they don't get that per diem, and it doesn't cost the state extra for them to be in special session.
And it saves them from going back here in a couple of weeks, too. But
you know, I was speaking of that. not to get too far off the track, if you look at the pictures of the special session, not necessarily the legislators at work, because as Miss Doty says, Doty Horton, I mean, they'll all come in and tell you it's a hard job. You watch them, and it just looks to be so time-consuming, and it's basically the thing I am worst at, is reading, comprehending, and solving puzzles. I mean, I just can't imagine how frustrating that would be. I can't do word scramble in the paper. My head explodes. But if you watch, what I notice from watching legislators at work is that they're there because we in the state of Louisiana don't have enough money. Well, we don't have enough money if you believe the Democrats. We spend it poorly if you're a Republican. I tend to think, look, I do. I lean way to the right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm way right. I'm thinking, and here's what I think as a conservative, fiscal and otherwise, when I watch the legislators in session. I think, couldn't you guys could be holding these meetings in an airplane hangar with folding chairs. And yet, you all have these walnut desks with marble floors and marble walls. And I'm thinking, we live in an era of Skype. Is there any reason not that you just couldn't have a legislative session via video conferencing and save a whole bunch of money?
Well, we already got the facility. What are you going to do? Sell it off?
Sell
the state capitol. That would be great. We're going to fix the budget, guys. We're selling the capitol.
It's gone condo. But the point I'm making is, if you look at the facility, it's a little over the top.
I agree.
I mean, it literally is, and I don't mean in this day and age that legislators necessarily do this, but at some point, the legislators who passed the money to build these things were pardon me, they were kissing their own ass. I mean, it's like, look how awesome we are. Look at what we deserve. We deserve to live better and to work better than the common folk, which is, of course, in the scheme of things, the way government works is. And we as citizens, it's not like we didn't go along. I mean, the phrase is, and I say it all the time, we pay the people who work for us better than we pay ourselves.
True that.
So I'm thinking, yes, let's sell the Capitol building. Let's make it into a downtown Baton Rouge condominium. You could make a ton of money for sale. Marble floors.
Prime real estate, baby.
Now, speaking of that, and I don't know if we have time here, we'll roll this over to the next segment. One of the things that the special session, if the governor gets his way, and I am not inclined to believe they're going to go along with that. But one of the things that they've discussed over the last 10 days or so of the special session is that quarter penny sales tax. You see, at the end of June, you know where we're going.
I do.
We talked about this off the air, and you had to leave the room.
It gives me a headache.
Because you had to go outside and spit. It's not your carpet. The 1 penny sales tax that was temporary goes off the books as of June 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So the governor and Jay Darden and all the Dems, and to be blunt, some of the Republicans, they're thinking, and Jay Darden said, the penny sales tax goes off the books. So we need to vote for the quarter penny sales tax, plus a bunch of other registration and revenue enhancement fees, and it'll still be like a tax cut because you won't be paying as much. And I'm going, I do cartoon noises. It makes my head explode. But the point being, the thing about the quarter penny is the argument was, will that quarter penny, if it got passed, and in the last session it did not, and no matter what the Democrats say about blaming Republicans, the way it worked out was, it was just as much. Look, as much as I respect and embrace emotionally and otherwise Doty Horton and Alan Seabaugh and Barry Ivy in those guys, the trinity of no, as I lovingly and respectfully referred to them, kind of like that. The trinity of no. No, we're not raising taxes. No, you guys don't do a good job with with the money we're giving you. But what I was going to say, we'll go to break. We'll come back because this is going to take a little bit longer, and it will circle back to tops so Matt's head can explode. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's his hair gets weird. It's worth it if you're not watching on video.
Beat people with shoes.
19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic right now. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel time for sports. Here's Timmy.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Calvary alum Sam Burns continues to cash checks on the PGA Tour with a 12th place finish in the Valspar Championship Sunday worth over $130,000. Burns had a top 5 finish in his sights but carded a triple bogey 7 on the 16th and bogeyed the 18th to finish 4 under for the event. Paul Casey won with a score of 10 under. Tiger Woods continues his strong comeback with a runner-up finish. The NCAA tournament basketball field of 68 teams was unveiled Sunday afternoon, and nobody from Louisiana will be participating, but Virginia, Xavier, Villanova, and Kansas are the number 1 seeds. The SEC has 8 teams in the tournament. Arkansas is the 7 seed in the East, and they'll play Butler Friday afternoon. Texas A&M is also a 7 seed. They'll play Providence early Friday in a West Regional game. Texas makes the field as a 10 seed, and they'll play also on Friday afternoon. LSU is part of the 32-team NIT field. They will play UL Lafayette Wednesday at 6 at the PMAC. College baseball, LSU takes care of business against Hawaii, 14-1, 17 hits to win the series. Louisiana Tech sweeps Houston Baptist 9-3, and Northwestern State rides David Fry's hot day. He had a 2-run double in the 7th and a solo homer in the 9th. They take care of business with a series win over Nichols with a 5-3 victory Sunday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
This is still one of my favorite songs.
New Radicals?
New Radicals. Get What You Give, is that it? What, 96 or 97?
Ooh, somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah.
Ooh. Hey, what is it? Hey 16, hey 15, you got the dreamer's disease. What a great line. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, 24 past 7 o'clock. Erin away for the week. She is somewhere, and we're not allowed to say where. Not that she's going to check in. Okay, so John Bell wants to go back from the regular session. He says, you know what you guys need to do? You need to just bag this regular session and go immediately back to special session, which means you can raise taxes, because that's kind of what I'm for. The penny sales tax rolls off the end of June. We need to at least get back to that quarter penny sales tax. What I started to say about the quarter penny was, and John Bell and Jay Darden and all the Dems, and some, they're blaming what I call the Trinity of No, and I mean that in the best way. You know how much I love Miss Doty and Alan Seabaugh and Barry Ivy, the only three on that Ways and Means Committee to go, no, 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 no. We're not getting our bang for the buck. You guys have plenty of money. Why don't you use it right? And the point being is one of the big arguments, I started to say, one of that John Bell and them will blame specifically those three for nothing getting through the Ways and Means. A few things did. But the point I was going to make was that what the Democrats and John Bell and all of them are failing to address is the impact that the Black Legislative Caucus had on that quarter penny not making it through. Mm-hmm. Because they said the Black Legislative Caucus told John Bell and the Democrats that we will not vote for that quarter penny, for a new quarter penny to go into effect on July 1st or whenever, unless there's an income tax increase, like Stelly that went off the books a couple of years ago. Because they're saying what the Black Caucus told John Bell, what the Black Caucus told their normally an ally, John Bell, is that unless you will go along with us to raise state income taxes, and it was called, what was it called? Compression of brackets. Mm-hmm. But it would have been like a 50% increase for a whole bunch of us, I would say the majority of regular wage earners in Louisiana, because they're thinking their logic, if you will, to John Bell and Darden and the rest of the Dems, the higher ups, were that this quarter penny, this sales tax, affects our constituency the most, i.e. working class, lower class Louisianans. And we want it to be a little more fair, and there's no way John Bell and them are going to go along with that. Well, I mean, look, if it could get through, John Bell would raise everything. But the other big argument on the quarter penny was, would it go to the general fund or would it go to TOPS? And there were some Republicans who were willing to go along with the quarter penny sales tax, to go along with passing that if it was specified for TOPS. Mm-hmm. Which brings us to the next topic. I was looking this weekend, and I don't know what made me, you know how the internet is. You go from A to B to C to D, and you sort of start to link things, and the next thing you know, it's 2.5 hours later.
Yeah.
And I started looking at the colleges in America with the highest tuitions. And you guys, if you're regular listeners, you know that what we talk about all the time is how TOPS, how student loans cause college tuition to increase. That, in my mind, is an inarguable fact. It's just like how insurance payments and government paying for hospitalization, healthcare, etc., causes the cost of healthcare to go up. Because in healthcare, the patient is no longer the customer. In education, if it's TOPS, if it's student loans, the student is no longer the customer. The government becomes the customer, and there is almost this, and I've likened it to this, go back to the 1950s with Eisenhower's military-industrial complex speech, that there is this sort of, I'm not even going to say unspoken deal between the military and industry. Look, it's not our money that's paying for this. It's taxpayer money, so we're going to spend more and more and get better and better. And there's no limit because it's not our money. Well, education, I'm not going to get off on the healthcare tangent, but education has become that. The student no longer pays. There is no economic checks and balances. Supply and demand is totally screwed up.
True.
So I started looking this weekend. Man, we got to go to break. So I started looking this weekend because what made me look and see what the highest tuitioned colleges. Do you know there's one in California called Harvey? I want to say it's Harvey Mudd University.
Harvey Mudd?
And it's $59,000 a year. That's tuition, books, room, meals, etc.
I guess that's not terrible.
Well, what made me start looking was, and I was looking and I said, how much is centenary? Centenary is when you take tuition and fees and room and meals, etc. Centenary College of Louisiana, right down here the road on Kings Highway, is right at $50,000 a year.
50 grand for centenary.
And they're not even close to the top. The top is 60. Well, look, we'll go to break. We'll talk about this more when we get back. But Tops is to blame. Did you know that if you apply to Centenary and you're accepted, one of the things they do is they automatically start hunting scholarships for you?
As it should be.
So basically they're saying, we know you can't afford to come here. We know we're too high. But you're not part of the equation, student. You are no longer part of the equation. 29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben, traffic time.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Shed Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. The regular session kicks off today, and Governor John Bel Edwards is hoping the legislature gets more accomplished than the special session that ended without a clear solution to the fiscal cliff. Legislators are not allowed to address revenue issues in the regular session, so the fiscal cliff will have to wait for another special session to be called afterwards. Despite the tension, Edwards says he's optimistic that the legislature will put aside their differences and come together for a productive regular session.
I actually believe we will get it done. I'm reminded of how hard it was 2 years ago, and so I'm heartened that we can get this done. I ask you to join me in that effort and join your prayers to mine.
Some of the issues on the docket include legislation addressing teacher tenure and abuse of infirmed individuals. With the onset of spring comes seasonal allergies, and this year could be a very long season. For those who suffer from hay fever, it spells many weeks of sniffing, sneezing, watery eyes, and postnatal drainage. There are differences between colds and allergies. Physician Dr. Peter Boggs says if you're wondering if it's a cold or if it's allergies, there's an easy way to find out.
The allergy symptoms tend to persist, and they respond nicely to medications for allergies, whereas the colds, they're kind of hard to treat.
Thanks to a warm, wet February, Boggs says the allergy season will be longer than normal this year. Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when a severe storm rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. Police in Louisiana say several rounds were fired at officers and a man has been arrested. And Gonzales Police Facebook post says 26-year-old Erin Moser was charged with several offenses, including attempted first-degree homicide. Gun control advocates are panning a new Trump administration plan to prevent school shootings. The plan would back off President Donald Trump's support for increasing the minimum age for buying assault-style weapons and it said would establish a federal commission to examine the issue. The Brady campaign to prevent gun violence says, quote, Americans expecting real leadership to prevent gun violence will be disappointed and troubled by President Trump's dangerous retreat from his promise. Spring football's underway at LSU. The LSU coaching staff is looking for a featured running back to emerge in the spring. Head coach Ed Orgeron says since there's no Leonard Fournette or Darius Geis on the roster, they will be an offense that depends more on its passing game.
It's going to force us to throw the football. It's going to force us to be more creative on offense. Maybe give them the ball out the backfield. Guys can catch out the backfield. Until we find a feature back, the offense will not be featured, obviously, by our running back. We can throw the football, and I think we better do that a lot better.
There's also a battle expected for several key defensive positions leading up to the start of the season. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
.23 from 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Give it a shot. The Chinese guy who's now going to be president for life.
Xi Jinping.
Spell the first word.
X-I.
Okay, Xi.
And then it's Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping would be China's
No, you're
next
you're adding a G. Xi Jinping.
Jinping. You know me and names of certain ethnicities. I'm just not good with them.
It's your East Coast background.
Robert Carrillo.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The reason we mention that is because it in a country like communist China, you don't have to put the word communist in front of it anymore. It just seems to me that, I mean, how much juice must this guy have? You know? I mean, there's, no matter where you are, no matter what you are in charge of, no matter the government, there are other people who think they could do the job better than you. So the only thing I just imagine that communist countries are sort of like the mob in that this guy has gotten to be president for life because he has enough juice and enough muscle on his side, and I don't use that word lightly. He's got enough muscle on his side, i.e. the military or whomever, that if you oppose him, you're a goner. You vanish. You're dead. You and your family. History, H101.
Sleep with the fishes.
Exactly. Ice pick through the hand, Luca Brasi. So, I mean, look, it's not like Fidel Castro was in charge of Cuba for 50 years because he was benevolent and kind and giving to everyone. It was just the opposite. If you opposed the guy, you ended up a goner. And I can only imagine, can you imagine that in how much muscle this guy over the last year or two, or however it happens to be, has been able to accumulate, that they have literally and patted him on the back all the while. You know, I can't imagine. What's the uneasy lies the head that wears the crown?
Yeah.
You think this guy sleeps well at night? Or or does he have so much muscle and so much juice and so much firepower on his side that he knows he's in charge, and everybody else knows he's in charge?
Well, even the Godfather didn't sleep that well.
739, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin. Traffic update. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Greenwood Road and Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Man, I'm making notes. Lots to talk about here. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, 742. A guest later this week in Erin's absence will be Roy Lang from the Times, because it's, college basketball. March Madness. I'm mad for March. 65 teams. When do they start? Wednesday night with one play-in game. Then the real tournaments start on Thursday with 64 to 32, et cetera.
I don't care.
That's not what I'm going to talk about. I mean, I know you don't, and I don't really either. But we're not going to talk about college basketball, entertaining or not, worthwhile or not. But there has been a lot of controversy lately about the funneling of money from the shoe companies, specifically primarily the shoe companies, to a lot of assistant coaches and AAU coaches, and then to the players and their families, to funnel them. For example, let's say there was Parky Shoes, because I don't want to mention any names because that would be libel. So there's Parky Shoes, and Parky Shoes pays Coach Bob, who's well, hell, you can mention the names. It was Chuck Person, who was an assistant at Auburn. And they claim he allegedly took money from one of the big shoe companies to pass it along to players, to funnel players to Auburn. Here's the deal, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and I talk to my this is another one of the ideas that I have, that my friends lambaste me. I mean, you're an idiot for thinking this. You're an idiot for saying this.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it then.
And I said, well, why do you even bother to have all those rules about payment? Look, it's the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit. What is it, like like an image, like it, where Ed O'Bannon used to play for UCLA. And Ed O'Bannon, and he filed his lawsuit against the NCAA, and he's winning at every level, by the way. Because they had a picture of Ed O'Bannon on the cover of an NCAA video game, and he didn't make a dime.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? The kid from Michigan. Oh, hell, the basketball player. I'm going blank.
There's a bunch of them, but that's the reason they don't make college video games anymore.
The one from Detroit. He went to Country Day High School in Detroit, then on to you. He was one of the Fab Five. Chris
Webber?
Yes. And he would say he's at Michigan, and he doesn't have pizza money. And yet he goes to the bookstore, and they are selling his jersey with his name on it for $79.95, and he doesn't get a cut. I mean, there is a problem, and it's basically, to a lesser degree, the problem I have with Little League World Series being on TV. It's a whole bunch of people making millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars on the backs of 12-year-olds. I mean, basically, Little League Baseball on television, they're the American sports equivalent of Guatemalan kids making shoes. It really, really is. Now, here was my idea as far as college sports. Why just not have no rules? Why just not let the boosters pay? The boosters from every school pay the kids what you think they could get. And you're rolling your eyes.
I'm listening intently.
Okay, let me ask you this. What solved radio's payola and plugola problem?
I don't know.
They legalized it. And I'm being totally serious. Back in the set, look, I've worked at radio stations where I worked for program directors who weren't going to add a record. I was in Cleveland the first time, mid-'70s. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. He said, I'm not adding record X until record company comes through with $10,000 in cash and cocaine. He said that at a staff meeting. And about a week later, he calls us into his office. And a scummy guy. He calls us into the office. He opens the record album. I'll even think it was a Queen record. And he opens the album, the Queen album, and there's $10,000 bills and cocaine in an envelope.
Jesus.
Now, the way radio solved that problem is they legalized it. And you know that?
Yeah.
It's as basically in radio now. Everything is legal as long as there is a paper trail.
As long as it's above board.
As long as you keep records of who's getting what they're paying, and what you're doing to get it. So if new artist Matt Parker is coming along, and record company X or Y or Z comes to one of the radio stations anywhere in America and says, we're pumping this artist, we want you to play it. And you say, oh, why would I do that? And they say, well, you got a promotion coming up. How's about we give away a trip for 4 to Hawaii? And we'll save you 10 or 15 or 20,000. We will pay for your $20,000 major ratings period promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And radio station. And this is happening everywhere. Don't be fooled. This is everywhere. And you go, that's a damn good idea. And it's all above board, and there's a paper trail, and it's all legal, and that's how a lot of times a lot of things get done in radio these days. The way they solved their payola problem was they legalized it. What if, because look, if the boosters could suddenly pay athletes on a college level, and you did it like payola now, and everything was on the record, and nothing much would change. All the schools that win are still going to get the best players because they have the richest boosters anyway. Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, depending on the sport.
Yeah.
And the best players, it would be free market. The best players would make the most money. And if you could, look, if you're the school, you're thinking, but what about the 25th or the 40th or the 45th guy? You would say, well, you're going to send up we'll set up a general fund for the guy who never gets in the game, and we'll give him $1,000 a month or $2,000, whatever it happens to be. I'm telling you, the solution to corruption in college athletics is to do what has happened in broadcasting.
This may be the best dumb idea you've ever had.
It ain't a dumb idea. I am a genius. I am staking the claim. And when Langer comes in later this week, that is one of the things we can discuss.
I can't wait.
748, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. What you thinking, kid? Traffic time?
Yeah, let's go to traffic.
Let's go to traffic. Here's Ruben on Keel.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Shed Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. The place to get in-depth coverage of the stories that matter.
Hi, this is State Representative Alan Seabaugh. The best place to get the stories that matter is with Robert and Erin each morning. I depend on them to get my day started.
We are Keel. 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Keel. 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
Jennifer Kushinka with your money now. The Wall Street Journal says
It is 8 before 8 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. No, whoa. Sports update. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Calvary alum Sam Burns continues to cash checks on the PGA Tour with a 12th place finish in the Valspar Championship Sunday worth over $130,000. Burns had a top 5 finish in his sights, but carded a triple bogey 7 on the 16th and bogeyed the 18th to finish 4 under for the event. Paul Casey won with a score of 10 under. Tiger Woods continues his strong comeback with a runner-up finish. The NCAA tournament basketball field of 68 teams was unveiled Sunday afternoon, and nobody from Louisiana will be participating, but Virginia, Xavier, Villanova, and Kansas are the number 1 seeds. The SEC has 8 teams in the tournament. Arkansas is the 7 seed in the East, and they'll play Butler Friday afternoon. Texas A&M is also a 7 seed. They'll play Providence early Friday in a West Regional game. Texas makes the field as a 10 seed, and they'll play also on Friday afternoon. LSU is part of the 32-team NIT field. They will play UL Lafayette Wednesday at 6 at the PMAC. College baseball, LSU takes care of business against Hawaii, 14-1, 17 hits to win the series. Louisiana Tech sweeps Houston Baptist 9-3, and Northwestern State rides David Fry's hot day. He had a 2-run double in the 7th and a solo homer in the 9th. They take care of business with a series win over Nichols with a 5-3 victory Sunday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
1017 FM, 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 755. I saw this weekend. I don't know how true it is. I had told you a couple of times, I've told the story on the radio, that when I was working in Michigan, I got to be pretty good friends with Dick York, who was the original Darren on Bewitched. He had a small farm. He was retired. He had a small farm in, I think it's Belding, Michigan, which is near Grand Rapids. And we talked, one of the things we talked about was how when he was doing Bewitched, back in the day, you only got paid, you got paid for the original, you got paid for one rerun. And he said it was 1964, 65. Who knew? Who knew there would be 1,000 channels? Who knew there would be cable? Who knew it would be syndication? Now, if your show goes into syndication, here's an example. If you're one of the cast members of Friends, you're making $7, $8, $9 million a year without getting out of bed, just in residuals from Friends reruns. So I saw this weekend. I don't know how true it is. And it's about Dawn Wells and Gilligan's Island.
Oh, boy.
She was Mary Ann. During the initial contract signing on the show, Wells asked for profits from the show's eventual reruns. And the way it was worded was all reruns, not just one. At the time, no one really knew what syndication was, so the producers accepted her contract, thinking there wouldn't be anything to it. That little trick, accidental though it may have been, made her tens of millions.
Wow.
While the rest of the cast got nothing.
That's crazy.
7:57, here's Hannity on Keel.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
All right, President Trump scored a huge win last week, accepted an invitation to meet with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un by May of this year to discuss, yes, denuclearization. Now, North Korea agreed to halt their nuclear and missile testing until the meeting. All American sanctions against the rogue regime, they stay in place. Now, the Democrats, the mainstream media, they cannot hide their disdain for President Trump. As Newsbuster points out, one NBC national security analyst claimed that President Trump allowed himself to be boxed in and had given up a huge concession. He gave up nothing. You know, these same networks that slobbered and fawned over President Obama's disastrous Iranian deal, they can't bring themselves to acknowledge President Trump's incredible foreign policy accomplishment.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
Blinds.com, the number one online retailer of custom window coverings for many reasons. Now, Marlene from Ohio says, quote, Blinds.com is by far the most customer-friendly company. Now, the blinds were easy to install. The quality's excellent. I highly recommend. Now, just go to Blinds.com and find the perfect window coverings for your home. And now, through March the 14th, you'll save up to 20% off site-wide just by going to Blinds.com/Hannity. Blinds.com/Hannity. Rules, restrictions apply.
GoToMeeting is the collaborative meeting tool trusted by over 18 million monthly users. But how do we make the concept of 18 million more real for you? Well, if you wanted to travel 18 million miles, you could go to the moon and back 36 times and still have a few miles left over for a detour. $18 million could buy you 4.5 million non-fat iced lattes, which would keep you caffeinated from now until the end of your career. Or if you took 18 million standing desk breaks, well, you'd probably be in great shape. Visit GoToMeeting.com to learn why so many people trust us to help them get...
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
KeelAccuWeather.com forecast, kind of cloudy, a small chance of rain today, not nearly as warm. We may get into the low 60s. Right now, 44 at Keel. It's 8 o'clock, and here comes Fox News.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
It is 8:03. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Miss Erin is away for the week. Matt has local news in just a couple of seconds. Evidently, there are way more massage parlors in Shreveport than you and I, well, at least I, ever thought existed. Matt tells us about that. Pro-life activist Abby Johnson is coming to town for Mary's House. We will chat with her in just about 10 minutes. Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all here this hour. And it's coming up on Keel.
In any way, this is a huge, strong Second Amendment state.
6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. A child has died and a man is behind bars in East Texas. But Nerl Lewis has been arrested for capital murder after a child in his care died. Wake Village police believe that Lewis caused the young boy's injuries. Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when severe storms rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. An NYPD spokesman says all 5 passengers aboard a helicopter that crashed into New York City's East River are dead. The spokesman confirmed the deaths to the Associated Press early Monday morning. Officials say the pilot was able to escape without serious injury. With the onset of spring comes seasonal allergies, and this year could be a very long season. For those who suffer from hay fever, it spells many weeks of sniffing, sneezing, watery eyes, and post-nasal drainage. Physician Dr. Peter Boggs says the allergy season started early due to record-breaking warmth in February, and there's still a lot of pollen to go around.
We'll transit into trees and grasses, and then we'll end up the season into late May and June is just grass pollen predominantly.
Spring football is underway at LSU, and so is the competition to be the Tigers' next starting quarterback. Head coach Ed Orgeron says soon-to-be junior Justin McMillan made a good first impression on Sunday, the first practice of the spring.
I thought Justin had a tremendous day. So did Lowell, and it looks like it doesn't bother them if they're with the first or second or third team. They're all getting equal reps. They're all competing, and there's no first-team quarterback right now, so it gives them, they all have hope. And I like to see. I like what I saw today out of Justin McMillan. He had a good day.
The LSU coaching staff is also looking for a new star running back to emerge before the season starts. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
history.
Nine past 8 o'clock. KEEL traffic update. Ruben's ready.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 11 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. That KEEL app is a free download, and it is presented by Office Furniture Source. As I've said a couple of times, Miss Erin away this week. She'll be back a week from Monday. Abby Johnson is one of, to say the least, one of the world's leading pro-life activists, and she is here for a little bit. Hey, Miss Abby, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you are going to be here on March 20th, Bossier Civic Center for Mary's House, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. I have heard you speak a couple of times before. So as we are talking about your coming to Shreveport, well, Bossier City in this case, again, I don't want to give away too much about your story because I know that is so much of what you talk to people about. But let's start with how you used to be a Planned Parenthood employee for people who don't know, right?
Yeah, I was actually the director of a Planned Parenthood facility here in Texas and was there for 8 years and left in 2009.
Like I said, without giving too much away, without giving too much of the Abby story away, how did that transition, how did that radical change in your outlook take place?
Well, there were a few things that happened, but ultimately I ended up leaving after watching an ultrasound-guided abortion procedure where I saw a 13-week-old baby fight and struggle for his life against the abortion instrument. And I knew then that there was life in the womb, that there was humanity in the womb, and I knew that if those two things were true, then I was on the wrong side of this debate. And so I left and have been speaking out against, the things that I saw inside of Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry, and have been doing everything I can to defend and fight for life.
It's interesting to me that when you underwent this moral change, that I would assume at some point you went home and you said, I have changed, my heart has changed, my soul has changed, my outlook is different now. But you put your head down on the pillow, and at some point, I would think you couldn't sleep. You would say, well, the fact that I've changed isn't enough. What was that like, where you said to yourself, I just can't stay home and change me. I have to tell people about this. I have to take this a step further.
Well, you know, I realized how many people had been hurt because of my actions and because of my inaction in many situations. And so I just knew that something had to be done, that, you know, I had this information and it needed to get out there publicly, and that this information that I had could potentially save a life. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess not everybody takes that route. But for me, I just thought this is, even though I can never undo what I've done, and I know that I'm forgiven by God, I knew that this was a way to help to right a wrong, and a wrong that I had helped to commit in the lives of thousands and thousands of women.
Speaking of inner strength, since the abortion, the pro-life, since this debate is so heated, not only across America, but around the world, I would imagine it takes a special kind of inner strength to deal with, I would think, the constant hate and threats, etc., that you get from the other side. What is the source? What is the source of that strength that you draw from?
I mean, the source of my strength is 100% because of Christ. And, I mean, that's the only way that I can manage to do what I do, to, you know, move past the burden of what I've done. And, you know, I have to live every day in the present and just in prayer that what I'm doing today is going to glorify God, even if what I've done is terrible and sinful. That, you know, He can use all of us. He can use all of our stories, all of our past, all the things that we're ashamed of, embarrassed by. He can use all of those things for His glory if we will allow Him to do so.
You know, I'm looking at your website here. I looked again at it last night for a little bit, abbyjohnson.com. And there is a page and a lot. It's what you call, and I thought this was really interesting, it's what you term here it is again, a new feminism. Explain that to me and listeners a little bit, what you mean by that.
Yeah, so the original feminism, you know, that was sort of founded by Susan B. Anthony and Katie Stanton, they were feminists, but they were pro-life, because feminism at its core should never pit one life against another. It is to value life equally. And so it wasn't until, you know, sort of this second wave of feminism came in, and then they started pitting woman against child and man against woman. And that was really never what the founders of feminism meant for feminism to actually be. And so, you know, we are calling, I know that feminism sort of is a bad word, particularly in conservative circles, but basically what we're saying is, you know, look, to pit a woman against her child is incredibly unnatural. And so, you know, we believe that women are stronger than their circumstances. We believe that women have innate strength that does come from God, where she can overcome whatever situation that she's in. And we believe that men and women are complementary to each other, that they're not the same in our God-given roles for the family, but that we are not against one another. And And so I think that, John Paul II, Pope John Paul II, talked about how women needed to fight for this sort of new type of feminism, that it was important that women fight for this, and that we refuse to choose. We don't have to choose between being a mother and getting a college education, or being a mother and having a career, that we can do both successfully. And so that's really what we're talking about.
Well, let me review the info once again. It's Tuesday, March 20, Bossier Civic Center, Mary's House, hosting the Shreveport Bossier Pro-Life Reception, featuring keynote speaker Abby Johnson. Like I said, I've seen you before when you were here a couple of years ago. You are inspiring. You are changing lives. And it is something that I would say nobody should miss. Your website is abbyjohnson.com. Information about your...
.org.
.org. I'm sorry. I apologize. abbyjohnson.org. And as a matter of fact, the Mary's House info about tickets and information is maryshouseofla.org. Miss Abby, thank you so much, and we can't wait to get you here in town and hear your message once again.
Thank you so much.
19 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Ruben's here, traffic update.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Old Mendon Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-two past 8 o'clock. Keel Sports Update. Here's Tim.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Calvary alum Sam Burns continues to cash checks on the PGA Tour with a 12th place finish in the Valspar Championship Sunday worth over $130,000. Burns had a top 5 finish in his sights, but carded a triple bogey 7 on the 16th and bogeyed the 18th to finish 4 under for the event. Paul Casey won with a score of 10 under. Tiger Woods continues his strong comeback with a runner-up finish. The NCAA tournament basketball field of 68 teams was unveiled Sunday afternoon, and nobody from Louisiana will be participating, but Virginia, Xavier, Villanova, and Kansas are the number 1 seeds. The SEC has 8 teams in the tournament. Arkansas is the 7 seed in the East, and they'll play Butler Friday afternoon. Texas A&M is also a 7 seed. They'll play Providence early Friday in a West Regional game. Texas makes the field as a 10 seed, and they'll play also on Friday afternoon. LSU is part of the 32-team NIT field. They will play UL Lafayette Wednesday at 6 at the PMAC. College baseball, LSU takes care of business against Hawaii, 14-1, 17 hits to win the series. Louisiana Tech sweeps Houston Baptist 9-3, and Northwestern State rides David Fry's hot day. He had a 2-run double in the 7th and a solo homer in the 9th. They take care of business with a series win over Nichols with a 5-3 victory Sunday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
24 past 8, Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. I don't recall what year it was that the National Basketball Association merged with the old ABA. And it was teams like 80 or so, maybe.
Was it that late? I was thinking it was in the 70s.
I have no idea. I remember the teams that left the ABA and joined the NBA were like the San Antonio Spurs, the team that is now the Brooklyn Nets.
76, by the way.
Was it really? Was it that early? The point I'm going to make was there were a couple of teams that were the old ABA teams that did not come into the NBA. And they were paid off by the NBA to fold, to just cease to exist. The reason I'm talking about this, by the way, we talked at the end of last hour about actors and the money they make in syndication, and how specifically, like I've said, if you're one of the cast of Friends, you're making $8 or $9 million a year just in residual money without getting out of bed. And what made me think of that was the Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island, that she was the only one, and I don't know if this is legit, but it said that she had a syndication or rerun clause, because originally back in the 60s, you got paid for the original, you got paid for the one rerun, because that's all there was. Who knew who could see 15 or 20 years ahead? Now, what does that have to do with the NBA and the ABA merger of 1976? Well, two of the teams that did not, two of the ABA teams that did not enter the NBA were the Kentucky Colonels, owned by a guy named John Y. Brown, who made his billions in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the Spirit of St. Louis, which was owned by a couple of brothers named Ozzie and Daniel Silna. So John Y. Brown was already a millionaire. I mean, this was a rich guy. He was sort of like Donald Trump of his day. And I think he got, I don't know how much he took from the NBA to give up his franchise, to fold the franchise. But let's say it was in 1976 dollars, it may have been 8, 10, 15 million. I don't know. It was a lot of money for back then. The Silna brothers were offered a choice, as was Brown, a one-time payment, or you can be treated as a franchise, you'll get a full share of whatever TV money we get as a league in perpetuity. Now, at the time, if you recall, NBA championship games, the championship series, wasn't even on live network TV. It was tape recorded, tape delayed. They ran at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. Understand, this is pre-Larry Bird and Magic, who for all intents and purposes saved the league at that point. So the Silna brothers, the Spirit of St. Louis owners, said, no, we don't want the 10 or 15 or however many millions of dollars. $3 million?
$3 million. I just pulled up the numbers.
John Y. Brown took $3 million to fold his team. The Silna brothers turned down the $3 million and decided, we will take a full team share of TV revenue in perpetuity, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
The deal has been estimated to have generated over $250 million since they signed.
Turned down to
They took $2.2 million in cash with a seventh share of whatever, all the TV deals.
Right.
And they made $250 million. Mr. Brown took $3 million for the Colonels and
took a walk.
Yeah,
and they both folded their teams. Foresight, my friend. Sometimes you just need luck. 28 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Yeah, let's try traffic right now. Here's Ruben from the next room.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
of information. KEEL News now.
6 people were arrested during stings at local massage parlors. 5 of the arrests happened at a parlor on Jewell Avenue. The other was made in the 5900 block of Fairfield Avenue. All 6 were booked for prostitution-related charges. The regular session kicks off today, and Governor John Bell Edwards is hoping the legislature gets more accomplished than the special session that ended without a clear solution to the fiscal cliff. Legislators are not allowed to address revenue issues in the regular session, so the fiscal cliff will have to wait for another special session to be called afterwards. Despite the tension, Edwards says he's optimistic that the legislature will put aside their differences and come together for a productive regular session.
I actually believe we will get it done. I'm reminded of how hard it was 2 years ago. And so I'm heartened that we can get this done. I ask you to join me in that effort and join your prayers to mine.
Some of the issues on the docket include legislation addressing teacher tenure and abuse of infirmed individuals. With the onset of spring comes seasonal allergies, and this year could be a very long season. For those who suffer from hay fever, it spells many weeks of sniffing, sneezing, watery eyes, and postnatal drainage. There are differences between colds and allergies. Physician Dr. Peter Boggs says if you're wondering if it's a cold or if it's allergies, there's an easy way to find out.
The allergy symptoms tend to persist, and they respond nicely to medications for allergies, whereas the colds, they're kind of hard to treat.
Thanks to a warm, wet February, Boggs says the allergy season will be longer than normal this year. Bossier Sheriff's deputies have arrested a 16-year-old Parkway student for making terroristic threats. Several students heard the teen making threats and reported it to police. Bossier Sheriff Julian Whittington says that the safety of students is paramount and that anyone making threats against students or teachers will be arrested. Mary Piney has died after a tree fell on her while camping in East Texas. Piney and her family were staying at Brushy Creek Park when a severe storm rolled through the area. Piney's husband was also severely injured by the falling tree, but is expected to survive. Piney is one of 2 people killed in East Texas during the weekend storms. Carlos De La Rosa is going to prison for 10 years after being convicted for trafficking meth in Shreveport. De La Rosa was found guilty of carrying drugs from Dallas to Shreveport for distribution. De La Rosa admitted to bringing over 4 pounds of methamphetamine to the area. Several others have been convicted for similar crimes in the past few months. Police in Louisiana say several rounds were fired at officers and a man has been arrested. A Gonzales police Facebook post says 26-year-old Erin Moser was charged with several offenses, including attempted first-degree homicide. Gun control advocates are panning a new Trump administration plan to prevent school shootings. The plan would back off President Donald Trump's support for increasing the minimum age for buying assault-style weapons and instead would establish a federal commission to examine the issue. The Brady campaign to prevent gun violence says, quote, Americans expecting real leadership to prevent gun violence will be disappointed and troubled by President Trump's dangerous retreat from his promise. Spring football is underway at LSU. The LSU coaching staff is looking for a featured running back to emerge in the spring. Head coach Ed Orgeron says since there's no Leonard Fournette or Darius Geis on the roster, they will be an offense that depends more on its passing game.
It's going to force us to throw the football. It's going to force us to be more creative on offense. Maybe give them the ball out the backfield. Guys can catch out the backfield. Until we find a feature back, the offense will not be featured, obviously, by our running back. We can throw the football, and I think we better do that a lot better.
There is also a battle expected for several key defensive positions leading up to the start of the season. For 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 24 away from 9 o'clock. Erin away this week. Last hour, we're not going to talk about this too much. I just think I want it to be sort of the continuing topic of the show this week. With all the college, it's Final Four. Well, actually, March Madness kicks off this week with 65.
March dullness, like your IQ.
I said that. I said that to end the 6 o'clock hour, and to many people, it's calumny, it's sacrilege, it is something you just don't say. And we're not going to get into the argument. You can easily make it, at least I can, that college basketball, there's not a duller sport in college basketball. But let's not get into that. What I want to get into on the surface is, and we'll talk about this later this week when Roy Lang comes in, my theory to end college basketball, the corruption in college sports, is to there's too many rules. Let boosters pay kids from each university. Let them pay what they think they're worth, what they think they are. Let the free market prevail. And I used as an example radio. How did the FCC, how did the industry how did we solve our payola problem? We made everything legal as long as there's a paper trail. That record companies can give you money to play it, but you know what? You've got to have affidavits, and you've got to have forms, and you've got to have everything filled out 100% properly. Why not do the same thing with college sports? Not that much would change. Not that much would be different, in the sense that all the schools that win now, your Dukes, your North Carolinas, your Alabamas, across the spectrum of the various sports,
they're still going to get the top talent.
LSU is still going to get awesome players because we have really, really, really wealthy.
In fact, it might actually help the LSU program.
And the point being, you just keep a paper trail of everything that the boosters give to whomever. Kids are happy. The greatest. Can you imagine Darius? Can you give me a reason, an argument why Darius Geis, whom LSU uses to sell their program, to sell jerseys, to sell television rights, why Darius Geis shouldn't get a piece of the action?
Oh, he should definitely get a piece of his merch at the very least.
What if Darius could sell himself to the highest bidder? Well, in this case, the highest booster. What's wrong with that? Oh, because they're amateurs. Okay, but it's my yearly argument against the Little League World Series being on television. You've got television networks that are making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars selling commercials because they are running the games to Little League Baseball, to whom they give tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for the rights to broadcast those games. And you know what? You've got a bunch of 12-year-olds who are out there, literally kids going into the coal mine. The only difference is they don't come out. They are working for free, as is Darius Geis, as is was Danny Edling, as was Leonard Fournette.
Can't argue that.
839, 1017 FM, 710 Keel, traffic time. Ruben's ready.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 62, mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight, high again 62 with sun tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
specifically over the last 30 Republican kryptonite, but crude, he's absolutely.
You know that to be true. Absolutely right. If you're a student of history and he's absolutely right. If you're a student of history and a student of economic history, you know that to be absolutely right. If you're a student of history.
Or so you said. World trade, the U.S.
is absolutely right. If you're a student of history and a student of economic history, if you're a student of history.
Attorney Jack Bailey, he's absolutely right.
He's absolutely right. If you're he's absolutely right. If you're a student.
FM in 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 842. Erin's off this week. One of the things we played a couple of weeks ago that Erin had not heard, I know it's in our best of file, is a conversation I had a long time, well, not a long time, what do you think, 6 months or so, maybe a little less, with local attorney Jack Bailey. And Jack is, as he describes himself, a yellow dog Democrat. He describes himself as Republican kryptonite. And yet, he's a pretty big Donald Trump guy, a pretty big Donald Trump backer. Now, we've been talking about, and we started touching on this last week, about what will be the major issues in this fall's mayoral race. And what everybody says is, it's jobs, we need jobs, and which is legit. Mm-hmm. Shreveport needs jobs. Well, wait a second. Didn't Shreveport used to have jobs? Yes. Shreveport used to have a ton of jobs, manufacturing jobs, as you'll hear Jack describe, union line manufacturing jobs, 20,000 of which have disappeared since the 1980s. Because of, and this is where I'm going to tie this into the Trump tariffs, etc., because of, as Jack describes, NAFTA and any number of other government deals that have taken the jobs and moved them overseas, moved them south to Mexico, moved them to Guatemala, we were talking about that, moved them to China, etc. And Trump has taken a lot of hits from, obviously, the political left, but a lot of people in his own party, too, about his recent steel industry, for one, tariffs that he's imposing. And his stance all along has been, look, America needs to start taking care of America's workers. The U.S. government needs to start looking out for Americans. And the point being is, and you're going to hear Jack make it a couple of times, is that when it comes to trade and trade wars, Trump can't do this. He'll start a trade war. Oh, my God, there'll be a trade war. And the point that Jack makes, and that a lot of people have made, is that there's been a trade war against the U.S. going on for a quarter of a century or more. The problem is we aren't fighting that war. We are not fighting back. And that is where, as I started off the chat with Jack, when Donald Trump says it's time to stand up for Americans because America as a whole, trade-wise, American workers have been getting screwed historically, right?
He's absolutely right. If you're a student of history and a student of economic history, you know that to be true. You can spout propaganda and you can spout the neoliberal line about how free trade enriches everybody, but it's a lie. It doesn't enrich the United States. It's impoverished us, and it's had horrible effects in Caddo Parish.
We were driving down the road one day going to lunch, and you just started off the top of your head. Because we'll go to lunch, Jack and I, and at some point about once a month, you drive me through Cedar Grove. And you show me where your grandparents lived, and you tell me a guy who had this business, who was a welder, had a shop in his garage, and all sorts of stuff. And it's this amazing history lesson of which I never get tired. And you one day were in the car, and you off the top of your head started running down a list of all the businesses that for whatever reason, most of them cheap labor in another country, have fled Caddo Parish, specifically Shreveport. And you kind of have that in front of you right now, don't you?
Well, you know, Bob, at one time I was able to find the U.S. government statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics on all the big corporations that had manufacturing plants in Caddo, and I looked for it last night. I couldn't find it again, but over the top of my head, look. You had Gould Battery running 3 shifts a day. You had Western Electric that had 7,000 people at it. You had a company called Southern Plastics. You had Mid-Continent Steel. You had Poland. We had a very large valve plant that specialized in oil field specialty valves up in Agers. GE Transformer plant had over 600 union workers making transformers, a plant that GE shipped to China, and they've got just a few workers left out there working out to their retirement age. The glass plant was working 3 shifts a day. We had a major clothing company here that had lots of workers producing clothing, and that was before General Motors was here, that produced over 3,000 jobs. And just outside this area, you know, close by over in North Bossier, there was an IP plant. Down at Coshada, there was a Sunbeam plant that had over 200 workers at it. And so just in Caddo Parish, we had over 20,000 union line manufacturing jobs in 1980, which is before General Motors opened, that all have gone to Taiwan, Singapore, China, and Mexico. And you can't tell me that getting to buy cheap plastic stuff at Walmart is worth the effect on my community of having lost those 20,000 union line manufacturing jobs. And you know, speaking of the founder of Walmart, Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, revolutionized this country when he said he was going to pay all of his workers $5 a day. They said, well, why are you going to do that? He said, because who's going to buy my product? Sam Walton knew the same thing. You may remember Walmart used to have a Made in America campaign, and it was corporate policy to buy manufactured goods from American companies made by American workers. So we've done away with that. We now have NAFTA, TAFTA, the WTO. We're playing in a rigged game, and so other countries are both currency manipulators. They have state-funded companies, Airbus, that didn't exist. Airbus destroyed at least 3 American commercial aircraft manufacturers. And so here we are in Caddo Parish. What would Caddo Parish be like today if suddenly there were 20,000 union line manufacturing jobs suddenly in operation in Caddo Parish?
And it's not like these are jobs, pardon me, it's not like these are jobs that have just disappeared because of technological and because of the digital industry. These are jobs, these are factories, these are companies that uprooted. They're still in business. They're just working somewhere else.
You know, Bob, as a lawyer, I represent injured workers in workers' compensation cases. And over the past 10 years, I've had multiple clients, and one of the things that they were telling me about while I was representing them is they had been told by their companies, well, the last thing we want you to do for us is we want you to go to Mexico because that's where we're shipping the machine tools. We want you to go down there and train your replacement workers in Mexico, and if you don't do it, you don't get your severance package. So, yeah, it has really hurt us.
Millennials are trying to kill sports, television, social media, restaurants, beer, even napkins. Be listening Friday morning for Greg Adams as he takes a look at what millennials are trying to kill. 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. KEELnews.com. KEELnews.com.
1017 FM, 710 KEEL. KEEL. KEEL app's a free download from Office Furniture Source. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Milam Street, and we still have some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Nancy Pelosi, referring to the DOJ's crackdown on illegal immigration, says immigrants make America more American.
Yes, we absolutely do need American immigrants, immigrants that are legal and filled to the brim with optimism, who embrace assimilation, that despite our diversity, believe that we are one nation under God. Yes, America is great because of the generation of immigrants that have gone before us and woken up every day knowing that it was morning in America.
Conservatives are in favor of immigration, but it needs to be legal immigration, and that is an important distinction.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Hey, Robert J. Wright here once again for Twin City Appliance Online, TwinCityAppliance.com. I don't think this is a stretch. Follow me on this, because we played the interview with Jack Bailey, and he's talking about all the jobs that are no longer in Shreveport, all the businesses, all the industries that no longer employ Shreveporters and folks from the Arklatex. But you know who does? Seriously, Twin City Appliance. Online, TwinCityAppliance.com. Repairing all major appliances in your home, the washer, the dryer, the oven, the list goes on and on. And you can get all the details on the website. All their locally employed employees are factory trained. Training is updated. And look on the website for complete details. You can find all about the company that employs local guys, helping to bring Shreveport back. I kind of like that. Twin City Appliance, online, Twin City Appliance, TwinCityAppliance.com. That phone number is 318-688-0253. We will see today, I guess, maybe tomorrow, if the specials, if the regular legislative session bows to the pressure of the Edwards administration and does away with the regular session and goes back into special session.
But they have so many important bills to get to before they can do that.
You were looking at some of that. Some of them were just...
one of them drives me nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Reducing standards for teachers to get tenure. You know, we want you to be excellent for 5 years. Now we just want you to be mediocre, and we'll give you some more money.
You know, people are blowing up right now.
Tops for teachers, great.
Make a mental note to discuss this in more length tomorrow morning.
Okay.
As by then, perhaps we will know what's going to happen. Okay, guest list for the list. See, Erin's off this week, and normally it's sort of a tradition, you know, like Letterman used to have Bill Murray, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the equivalent of our Bill Murray, although this is a poor analogy on my part and I've painted myself into a corner, is Bishop Larry Brandon. But Larry is in California this week, and he will be in Tulsa studying next week, so he's not available. But before the week's over, we'll have, let's see, Scott Hughes will be back. Stephen Wagspack is in town on Thursday, I believe, and he's coming into the studio, and Roy Lang from the Times, to mention just a few.
Mm-hmm.
So back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. He is Kim Commando.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. In-depth coverage.
Hi, this is Senator Greg Tarver. KEEL always brings us information for the city of Shreveport. Robert and Erin, thank you very much for doing a great job.
We are KEEL. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Milam Street. And we still have some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROW.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 62 today. Mainly clear and chilly, low 39 tonight. Sunny, high 62 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.